Hey everybody, been a while. Paul here with Road Trip Transport, Road Trip Tiny Trucker. We're gonna do another post from the road, heading across Colorado here in the middle of nowhere. And I know I haven't been on here in a while, so we're gonna pick this back up. And I promise I'm going to try to keep being up to date on my episodes, or at least a little bit more frequent than I have been. So today what we're going to do, since it's been a while, is I'm going to give an update. This will be episode 9. I have not forgotten, and I'm not getting out of it. In episode 10, I will have a challenge to give away a Road Trip Transport hat. Your pick, either orange or this blue one. I sat on this one, that's why it's got a little bulge here, but you'll get a new one. Either a blue or an orange hat. Your choice. So, be looking for that contest on the next episode. So episode 9, what we're going to talk about in today's episode is a little bit of an update on not only my company, but on the market, on the trucking market right now. So, as of right now, I have 2 trucks running full time. Third truck is ready up at Enterprise. I've got to go pick it up probably next week, and my trailer's purchase has been sitting at the trailer store for a while now. It's bought and everything. I just have to. I had some issues with some drivers. Not going to get into details, but basically we had 2 drivers lined up, and one of them didn't end up panning out, and so I had to find another one. And I wanted to get somebody in a truck, but I also didn't just want to put a warm body. I wanted to get the right guy. So we did a little bit of digging. I'm training a guy right now. Unfortunately, luck would have it, life happened, and he had a family emergency. And I actually dropped him off in Topeka. I'm on my way to Denver. And he's attending the family emergency. And then I'm going to pick him up on the way back, and we'll continue training. So, anyway, once he's up and running, hopefully in about a week, we'll have 3 trucks up and running. So as far as the company is going, I'm not going to get into real deep on the numbers, but essentially we are doing better than worst case scenario, but not as good as hopeful scenario, if that makes sense. When I planned for the business case, I tried to plan for a really bad trucking economy. Very low rates, struggling to find loads, low miles, because we're sitting a lot, so on and so forth. And we're above that. We're doing better than that. We're doing relatively well, better than that. It's not like we're hovering around that area, but we are struggling with when it comes to the economy. We're feeling the economy, not struggling. We're feeling it. And for that, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the learning experiences I've had with running one of these companies. First off, freight. I say sitting a lot. I haven't planned to sit a lot, just in case that's my worst case scenario, is if we had to sit a lot. I'm not having to sit a lot. We've been staying very, very well, very, very well booked. We haven't had to do a lot of sitting. My driver, my other guy, he's actually behind me right now. We're both taking a container, which is a sale. These things are horrible on fuel mileage, but they paid pretty well to compensate for it. I think after accounting for the bad fuel economy, we're gonna, it's in that 2 to 220 mark. With the bad fuel mileage, I think we're around 230 or something like that a mile, which isn't great, but it's not awful. And again, it's a longer load, so that I want to talk a little bit about that too sometime. That'll be in a future episode. Rate per mile is the silliest thing people measure their income by. At least let me back up. Rate per loaded mile. That is a silly thing to measure your income by. But why? Because it doesn't factor in all miles, and your truck costs you all miles. But anyway, so let's talk about and time. It doesn't factor in time. Rate per mile has no effect of your time. So we'll talk more about that in a different episode. Anyway, so let's get back to the economy. rates are down right now. We have not been sitting, but it's been a struggle to get loads. Now that being said, they're out there. You just have to be patient. I think a lot of people are panicking right now, and they're just grabbing whatever they can off the load board. I'm seeing loads posting for really, really bad rates. I mean, put you out of business rates that people are taking into dead areas. I mean, I just saw a load this morning. I was looking before we left just to see if I could get my other guy under a load this afternoon. And they had one not even paying $2 a mile going into basically San Francisco, California from Denver. And I mean, that's a bad rate for going into a real dead spot. Now, can you get lucky and get freight out of California? Yeah, and I did last time. I actually did 2 partials that paid, even factoring in. They were basically pick up and drop off in the same place. And we ended up all right getting out of California last time, but it was lucky. I'm not going to fool myself into thinking that that's normally going to happen. You're going to have to deadhead a lot sometimes, or take really cheap freight. So $2 a mile or less into California is especially deep into California. Fuel right now is well over $4 a gallon. Their taxes just went up to 50 cents a gallon. It's ridiculous. So anyway, moving on, freight's down, but I'm still able to put together some pretty good loads. We've been staying pretty busy, but I have learned a few things. One, these trucks are not getting the fuel efficiency I see a lot of people reporting. I've heard a lot of people estimate around 10. I've got a Ford and a Ram now running, and we just ran our second quarter IFTA report, and those 2 trucks together averaged, the Ford was a little better than the Ram actually, but I'm not really good. It wasn't much better. They both were right at the 8.5, 8.6 mile to the gallon range. Not the 10 that people were, a lot of people are saying. And we don't run fast. I'm running through Colorado right now at 65. But it's just not the rate a lot of people were saying. So anyway, so we're learning that fuel mileage is not what a lot of people say. Now, we idle our trucks too. That probably has a factor in it. We idle our trucks at night. Why? Because it's cheaper in a hotel, and I'm not sleeping in 90-degree weather. I'm sleeping comfortably. It costs me, I think I figured out it burns about 4 gallons at night, 3 to 4 gallons. That's, $15 in fuel. Yeah, I'll burn that. That's not a problem. I'm going to stay cool at night. And my guys do as well. So that probably has a factor in that as well, or it definitely does. But anyway, so the company's doing well enough that we're bringing the 3rd one on. We're getting him started up and going. And I've started to develop some direct customers. I've got a direct customer out of Alabama that I've hauled 5 loads for now, and that's the key. That's the key, is getting that good customer. And we were able to get that going. Okay, so kind of a rough update on the company. That's where we're at. We're still going to be sticking with hot shotting. We're not getting out of hot shotting. This type of trucking. So if you keep following me, we're going to keep talking about the hotshot industry. If I have time at the end of this episode, I'm going to get in a little bit about professionalism. I'm having a big problem with that right now, and it's really seemed to accelerate in the past few months. I don't know why, but I'll explain that. So let's talk about the economy. Very quickly, the economy's down, really down, and I'm talking just trucking economy. Shipping is down, and the way I look at it, I'm going to give a little spiel here. This is my opinion on the matter. My opinion is that hot shotting has an extremely low barrier to entry, even more so than trucking. Trucking has a low barrier to entry, but hot shotting's got an even lower barrier to entry. What does that mean? Well, it means people that, I'm going to just be straightforward here, people that have absolutely no business running a business, people that have absolutely probably have a hard time holding down a regular job, can start a business. And they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what their trucks and equipment costs them. And yeah, I made this example the other day. I was talking to my employee, and we were talking about Papa John's and what his weekly pay was. And you look at one load going out to Washington, even at $1.50 a mile cross country. That looks, that's in 4 days you can get there and make more in a month. Than you think you're going to make more than it looks like you'd make more than a month, or make more than you could at Papa John's in a month. Yeah. But that doesn't include all of the costs, and I'm very quickly finding through a lot of the online groups I'm a part of that people don't understand what their costs are. They really don't. We talk about these enterprise rentals and what they cost, and people freak out. And they're like, I can't afford that. It about put me out of business. I had to buy a truck. An $800 a month payment is much cheaper than renting a truck. Well, if that's the case, then you don't know how much owning a truck costs you. Because yes, it costs you $800 a month to do a payment, but it's also costing you about $500 to $600 a month in depreciation, and that is money you will have to fork over in one big chunk when you trade that truck in on the next one. You have to factor that in. So now you've got another $500-600 in depreciation every month that truck drives. You got to factor that in. You have to factor in maintenance, and when it comes to maintenance, I don't think a lot of people plan it well enough for it. Even at $5,000-6,000 a month, even at $6,000 a month, or I'm sorry, not a month, $6,000 a year. That's still, let's see, what is that? 6,500? Does that sound right? $500? Yeah, $500 a month. Duh, that's a simple math. Half 12. I didn't even mean for that. So $500 a month. That's. The oil change for one of these trucks probably costs $100, and you're going to do at least one a month, at least. Not to mention fuel filters, everything else. And then you got your big maintenance items that happen. Lose a transmission, whatever it is. You have to plan for those. So $500 is pretty reasonable. People don't understand what their costs are, and because of this low barrier to entry, you don't really need a business plan. You don't need investors. You don't need to prove to investors that it's going to make money. So everybody jumps into it when the rates are high. And when the rates are really high, which they were last year, it can kind of give a buffer to that misunderstanding of what your cost is. You think you're making a lot of money. You're not making that much money, but it's still pretty good because the rates are really good. So it kind of takes into account that error. Well, this year it's not. This year, if you don't know what your truck's costing you and you're taking freight at below that, what it actually is, they're going out of business. And they're going out of business left and right. Just look at the news right now. The big companies, so there's some bigger companies, they're still small trucking companies, but way bigger than I am. They're going belly up. Been in business for 40 years. And they have had other problems that have plagued them. But, I talked to my insurance agent, and he told me 80% of these startup companies, 80%, 8 out of 10 are out of business in 1 year. They're belly up, bankrupt in 1 year. The bank's repoing their equipment and they're done. So what that does, what does that mean? Well, that low barrier to entry means that the market cycles really, really hard. And that's what I think we're seeing right now, is we're seeing that back end of that cycle where rates should be really high right now. It's the summer and they're not. They're really bad. And I think what you're seeing is these companies, they're dying. And what they're doing is they're in what I'm calling their death throes. And their death throes are just simply, they got a payment coming up. They're behind on payments. They're taking any load they possibly can. Why? Because it pays $1,500 and they got $1,500 in payment coming up. They don't even care that it's 1,600 miles and they're making less than $1 a mile because they need that $1,500 to make a payment. And I think people are hemorrhaging it, and it's going to take all those companies. Unfortunately, it's going to take that excess supply of trucks to die out for the rates to come back, and then it'll cycle again. And I think it's always going to do that. And I think last year you had an exceptionally good year, so you had an exceptionally large amount of people, and especially hotshots, getting into this industry. And again, it's because that barrier to entry is very, very low. A lot of people are doing it with just their F-250 they had at home. They buy a little trailer. I'm passing right now an F-250 hotshot, pulling a Jeep and a motorcycle and an air compressor. He had a little bumper pull and he had the logo on the side, so he was a company. And It didn't cost him anything to get into it. Is he doing well? Maybe, but I don't know. I mean, maybe he's making 50 cents a mile on that Jeep, 60 cents a mile. Maybe he's probably making nothing on that air compressor, a couple $100, and then a little air compressor, like a garage style air compressor, and then he had a motorcycle on there, which, again, I don't think he understands parceling. I'm making a wild guess here, maybe he does, but anyway, so barrier to entry really low. These people are dying right now, and they can't make ends meet, and it's only going to get worse because we're going to hit the winter time, and wintertime rates are low anyway. So the people that haven't planned for it and have money put away and are able to sustain themselves, they're just going to keep folding up. It's just my luck to start this stupid thing right in the middle of it. It wasn't in the middle of it. It was coming out of the winter. Rates were looking pretty good for winter time, and rates were supposed to be coming up. That's why I started it early spring, was to make sure I was up and running when rates came back, and they just have never come back up. Now, luckily, we planned for that. We did plan for worst case scenario, and we're doing better in worst case scenario. So anyway, we have some time. So that's the economy or what I'm seeing. Paul's opinion on the economy right now. It might be wrong. It's just my opinion on what I'm seeing for the trucking economy. It's down right now. It's tough, but we're still doing all right. Okay, now let's talk about if I can remember what I wanted to touch base with you on. Oh, professionalism. That's what it was going to be. Okay. Let's talk about being professional and what I'm seeing in this market. I see a lot of posts online about people doing this hotshot, and they're showing their old beat up equipment or whatnot and so on and so forth. And I'm not even saying that's bad. I'm saying like flip-flops, gym shorts, tank tops, showing up to customers, that type of thing. Lying about your equipment. I've been hearing that a lot from customers where it's like a risk for them to book a hotshot, because they'll say it's 30 foot long. I need minimum 30 foot of space. Guy will say he's got it, and he'll show up with a 25 foot trailer, and they can't load him. He's just hoping they're over exaggerating. What does that mean? Well, and I'm not even talking about the shirts and stuff. I mean, I'm just talking about looking a little bit professional in front of your customer and not lying about what your capabilities are. And what is that doing? What that's doing is it's causing a lot of these customers to start saying no hotshots. And you see on Facebook, you see a lot of people criticize these guys, and then everyone says, what is it hurting you? It's not hurting you. Well, yeah, it is. It's hurting all the hotshots, because these customers are just flat out saying, no more. We're not dealing with it anymore. We're tired of it. We're tired of having to either rebook loads that we had covered because the guy didn't show up with the right stuff, or he showed up and he's in flip-flops and gym shorts and he has no PPE, and it says right on the rate confirmation, PPE required, or whatever it is. We're just not dealing with it anymore. And that happens with big trucks too. But the equipment side of things, if you have a big truck, you're pretty much capable. They're all capable of hauling 80,000 pounds gross. These things, they're all over the place. So, yeah. So anyway, that is really hurting a lot. I have been seeing a exponentially larger amount of loads that are strictly saying no hotshots. Just flat out, nope. Cannot haul this if you're in a hotshot. In fact, we just had to load military, 2 Humvees in a trailer from Gulfport to Missouri, Jeff City. And when we booked it and everything, it was 30 feet long, weighed less than 20,000 pounds. Nowhere did it say no hotshots, nothing like that. I mean, we booked it all, we showed up. Well, when we showed up, they said no hotshots. They were like, you gotta be kidding me. So we were talking to one guy, we were real nice and talking to him, and I said, well, what are you guys trying to ship here? He said, well, we're just trying to get everything moved up there. And he said, I mean, we got these 2 Humvees in this trailer that need to go. I said, well, and they weighed 15,000 pounds total. I said, well, that's going to fit on my trailer. I mean, we can take it. He said, well, that's fine. He said, you've got a nice rig. We'll go ahead and load it. But normally we do no hotshots. And sure enough, on the bill of lading, I saw it says no hotshots. And Hotshots. What's the deal? He said, we can't get reliable Hotshots in here. We can't get guys that make it. He said, half the time it seems like we get a call, they can't make it. We got to get somebody out there. They got to try to find someone to go pick up their load. They lost an axle. They blew a bunch of tires. They broke down, or they just decided they didn't want to haul it, or they show up like we had to have PPE. You had to have reflective vests. He said they don't have the equipment that's required. They don't have the tie downs that's required. He just said it's numerous things, and we're done with it. We just said no Hotshots. Stop doing that. I know I ranted about it, but it's a very big. It seems like exponential amount of loads recently are saying no Hotshots because of that reason right there. So, all right. Well, that's a 20-minute video, 20-minute episode of me rambling on. We're not calling this one a rant. We're just this is an update because it's been a while since you guys have seen me. The enterprise rental is still going extremely well. Joe is awesome to deal with. I would also want to give a shout out on insurance. I can put it in the link. I'll find it, but you need to call Rob Brennan at 3G Insurance. He's been really good to me. Really good. Help me get rates down, find discounts, so on and so forth. I'm going to make sure it's okay with him. It's Rob Brennan with 3G Insurance. He's out of Georgia. I don't know. I'm going to make sure it's okay with him to put his number in the description. I'm sure he'll be fine, but really, really good guy. Really easy to deal with, and has really helped me get my insurance rates down. So very responsive, so on and so forth. And then Enterprise, I can't say enough good things about Joe. I mean, he is just so easy to work with. He's on top of things. He's forgiving when it comes to, he helps you out any way he can within reason. He's always open to suggestions and ideas. Enterprise would be silly to lose him. He's really good. Joe Snellenberger, the rest of the team up there is really good too. I deal with Blake and I can't remember his name now. They're other guys. They got a few people up there now, and they're all really, really good guys to deal with. Joe is mainly who I deal with, and he's fantastic. So give them a call up there in Enterprise. Mention me because I get a little bit of a kickback, so I'll take it. Mention me, and we will see you guys next time. The next episode should be quicker. What we're going to do is we're going to do our competition for the free hat, and then I'm going to do a review on a really cool gadget you guys are going to like. I like it. It's a pretty unique little deal for my trailers, and I'll show that to you. I'll do a little review of that on our next episode 10. So thank you all for watching, and we'll talk to you all later.